All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible missions in recent memory, Artemis II. This is the one that really marks humanity's return to the moon.
You know, for the first time in over 50 years, humans flew around the moon. Think about that. This wasn't just another launch. It was really the fulfillment of a long-held promise, sending a brand new generation to explore the edges of deep space.
So, this begs the big question, right? Why now? After all this time, what is pulling us back to our closest celestial neighbor?
The gap between the last Apollo mission and Artemis II is literally an entire generation. So this flight wasn't about looking backwards or just repeating the past. No, this was all about laying the groundwork for the future of human exploration.
And there it is. That's the key. The whole point of the Artemis program isn't just about getting back to the moon. The moon is basically a critical proving ground. Every single thing they tested, from the life support systems needed for long trips, to deep space navigation, to that nail-biting, high-speed re-entry, it's all a dress rehearsal for the next giant leap, sending people to Mars.
And of course, a mission like this really comes down to the people inside the capsule. This whole journey was in the hands of 4 incredible astronauts, who were flying a spacecraft that they named with a very special meaning in mind.
So let's meet them. We've got Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen, who's from the Canadian Space Agency. It's this amazing mix of spaceflight veterans and a rookie, and this team was specifically chosen to push the Orion spacecraft to its absolute limits, really paving the way for everyone who's going to follow.
And you gotta love this. The crew chose a really powerful name for their ride, Integrity. It wasn't just a cool call sign, it was basically their mission statement. It was all about the deep trust and respect you have to have for each other when you're that far from home.
But make no mistake, this was way more than just a sightseeing trip. These astronauts had a packed schedule. They essentially turned their spaceship into a high-speed science lab, scouting out potential landing spots, checking for resources, and, most importantly, giving us that one-of-a-kind perspective that only a human geologist can provide.
And here's where you can really see their teamwork in action. They worked in pairs, so you'd have 2 astronauts glued to the windows. One is snapping photos with a huge zoom lens, while the other is taking detailed notes on a tablet. Meanwhile, the other 2 are providing support, managing all the gear and calling those crucial observations down to mission control. It was a perfectly choreographed dance.
And to make these reports, they were using some pretty specific geology terms. One word you'd hear them say a lot is albido. And it's actually pretty simple. It's just a way to describe how bright or dark a surface is. So high albedo spots are the really bright ones, like fresh craters. And low albedo spots are the dark patches, like those old volcanic plains you can see from your backyard.
So in the middle of all this intense science work, the mission was quietly approaching a huge historic moment. A chance to break the record for the farthest humans have ever traveled from Earth, a record that had stood for over 50 years.
This was the magic number to beat, 248,655 miles. That was the record set by the crew of Apollo 13 way back in 1970. It stood untouched for more than half a century.
And then Artemis II shattered it. They pushed the human frontier all the way out to 252,755 miles. For that one moment, they were the most distant human beings in the history of our species.
But what's so amazing is that in that record-breaking moment, the crew didn't just celebrate, they looked to the future. They basically issued a challenge, saying they hoped their new record would be broken soon. They were passing the torch to the next generation of explorers.
But beyond all the numbers and the records, this mission was really about the human experience. It was about seeing our corner of the universe in a totally new way and leaving a uniquely human mark on it.
You just have to hear how pilot Victor Glover described the lunar terminator. That's the line where day meets night on the moon. His words, they just paint this incredible picture of a truly alien landscape with mountain peaks catching the sun like little islands in a sea of pure blackness. That's a view that only a human can really appreciate and describe.
The crew also left behind a truly lasting legacy. They actually proposed names for 2 craters that had never been named before. They called one Integrity Crater, after their ship, and the other Carroll Crater, a really bright, beautiful crater named in a deeply personal tribute to Commander Wiseman's late wife.
And honestly, this quote from Christina Cook might capture the whole mission best. The crew talked about these profound moments where it all just clicked, seeing the moon not as some picture in a book, but as a real, three-dimensional world hanging in space. And that shift in perspective, that's what human exploration is all about.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? How does this one successful flight around the moon set the stage for everything that's coming next?
Well, at the end of the day, Artemis II was a massive success. It proved that the Orion spacecraft is ready for astronauts, that our crews can do real, vital science in deep space, and it firmly laid the foundation for us to actually return to the lunar surface and one day to finally make that long journey to Mars. The crew of Artemis II broke a 50-year-old record and then immediately challenged us to go break their new one. Their journey is this incredible reminder that exploration isn't a race, it's a relay. And it leaves all of us with one really powerful question. Where will we go next?